I'd like to impart some facts, a little bit of what we know about the TPP, and what it could mean for the environment. As we look at the Pacific Rim countries, Japan was the latest to join, and the Sierra Club is deeply concerned about Japan's hunger for liquefied natural gas. So it has triggered a concern for domestic import of this gas from our country. But one of the major reasons we are concerned is that the Pacific Rim is an area of great significance from an environmental perspective. It includes Australia's Great Barrier Reef, the world's largest coral reef system, home to more than 11,000 species. It includes Peru and its Amazon rainforest, one of the most biologically diverse areas on Earth. But the natural environment and rich diversity of the Pacific Rim are threatened by, among other things, illegal or unsustainable commercial exploitation. The Asia-Pacific region accounts for 1/3 of all the threatened species in the world, and that is very significant. The numbers of several species of oceanic sharks, including the reef sharks, are declining rapidly. And the illegal logging persists in a number of TPP countries, threatened not only by natural forests, but the communities who live and rely upon the forest. The Sierra Club at the national level actually has organized against illegal logging. It's that big of a deal. And so we address it in other countries and try to keep up with it. It's just, we do have a directive, and unfortunately it has woven into the complexity of this free trade agreement. The TPP must serve to strengthen environmental protection and support the biodiversity of the Pacific Rim, and not to facilitate the race to the bottom in environmental deregulation. One of the reasons that we're concerned about this is the lack of transparency. There should be negotiations that are open to the public. Public input is very vital. And it can appease our fears. Many of us are knowledgeable enough to give logical input, and as we found, especially in the Sierra Club, public input is really important. The proposed TPP touches on a broad range of issues: the environment, workers and jobs, agriculture, health, access to medicines, and more. And one of the reasons that we're seeing concerns about medicines is that there may be an impact to generic brands, and that may not be allowed. We are seeing also access to well and health. There may be some issues as workers go overseas too, into these countries, and the labor laws, say in Vietnam, there's no such thing over there. So, it's actually a downgrade and not lifting our livelihoods. Negotiators have been developing TPP texts or chapters, and they're numerous. And Jeannie spoke about agriculture, and that is one of them. The environment is one of them. Investment is one of them. And it's been behind closed doors. None of the texts are public, but a few have been leaked. And this is what we're basing a lot of our concerns. It's about what we've heard and what we do know. Moreover, nearly the only people apart from the TPP government officials with access to the text are more than 600 business representatives. So those are the people that are coming to the table to negotiate. Even members of Congress are left in the dark on the actual contents of the TPP. And Alan Grayson has spoken about that. Congressman Grayson has subpoenaed text and information from the TPP from the U.S. Trade Representative. He's forced to keep it under lock and key. Yep. And if someone comes in his office, he has to lock it up. So also, along with the lack of transparency, our environmental chapters are of great concern. Typically, our trade deals have a history of lacking meaningful enforcement. And we can enact the best rules and regulations, but if they're not enforced, we have nothing. They've been strengthened over the years, largely thanks to citizen-led advocacy groups, including the Sierra Club. This pressure led to the foregoing of a bipartisan consensus in May of 2007 that set the minimum standards for the environment, labor, and other provisions in our trade agreements. So it's essential that the TPP build on this progress. A minimum, we should have, the chapter should be binding and subject to the same dispute settlement provisions as commercial chapters. Ensure that countries uphold and strengthen their domestic environmental laws and policies and their obligations under agreed multilateral environmental agreements, and include binding provisions to address the core environment and conservation challenges of the Pacific Rim. We want to combat efforts on illegal trade in wood products, and wildlife, and to strengthen fisheries management. Our fisheries, there's been a global decline. So we're hoping that we can deal with that. The TPP and investment. A leaked draft of the investment chapter reveals that the TPP will likely follow the same flawed model as past agreements. It allows foreign corporations to sue governments directly for unlimited cash compensation. And these so-called investor cases are heard in private, non-transparent tribunals without public comment or participation. Some of the corporations that have been primary to some of these tribunals are Exxon, Mobil, and Dow Chemical. They've launched 450 cases against 89 governments. Nearly $675 million has been paid to corporations under the U.S. free trade agreements and bilateral investment treaties. About 70% of money going to oil, gas, and mining industry. Some of the injustices, there's this was a U.S. corporation called the Renco Group, who invested in a metallic smelter in La Jolla, Peru. It happens to be one of the most polluted sites in the world. These smelters refine metals such as lead, zinc, silver, and gold, and of course they're an environmental and health hazard. It's been documented that people living near these metallic smelters have dangerously high levels of lead in their blood. So Renco was supposed to clean up their contaminants in the areas of their smelter, but they never did. So after the Peruvian government decided not to grant Renco their third contract, or third extension on its cleanup obligations, Renco filed an investor state suit under the U.S.-Peru FTA and demanded $800 million in compensation. And this is an ongoing case. The increase in dirty fracking. This is the extraction of liquefied natural gas from underneath the ground. The TPP may allow for significantly increased exports of LNG without the adequate protections necessary to safeguard the American public. It's been leaked that the Department of Energy may lose their oversight on this export, which is very significant. It could also increase in natural gas and electricity prices, impacting consumers, manufacturers, workers, and increasing the use of dirty coal power. And coal is nasty. So it definitely weakens our fight for those of us that fight for climate change. And the rollback of consumers' rights. And we've seen this in the dolphin safe tuna labels. You know, we used to have labels on there that it was caught without using dolphin killing fishing practices. Well, the WTO, the World Trade Organization, indicated that this was discrimination against the Mexican tuna fishers. So there was a case, and it was ruled that we would not have the right to know where tuna comes from. And so as we can see, sustainable fishing is really important. So as we move into the impacts of natural gas exports, it's not just about the gas itself. There's infrastructure that needs to be in place just to transport it. There's hundreds of miles of pipelines, and it would involve coastal export terminals. And I guess it would be perfect for the countries on the Pacific Rim. Most of them are on the coast. So, but here in the U.S., it could cross private property, public lands. We're always fighting to keep our public lands. And further fragmenting landscapes and increasing pollution. So, I just got an email from Alan Grayson the other day, and indicating a little bit about on the background of the Trade Act of 1974, which is the Trade Promotion Authority, or what we know as Fast Track. And this was first enacted in 1975, and PTA has been renewed multiple times. The latest grant of authority is expiring in July 1st of 2007. So the Obama administration has indicated that it will seek to renew the TPA, and this will take Congress to do that. And if Congress does approve the fast track process, it'll just be a yes or a no vote. There will not be any allowance for amendments. If, say, a congressman or congressperson has an issue with any part of the TPP, cannot do that. And the latest update from Ilana Solomon, she is our U.S. Trade Representative in Sierra Club. She has been to all the negotiations. She just came from the last one in Peru, which was in Brunei. The government's claimed that this was the last one, but this could mean that talks even go more underground. And I did notice that the e-commerce groups are very concerned because there was a secret meeting in San Francisco, I think around September 6th. And it was leaked out about that, and there's grave concerns about our internet access and our public access to the internet could be at stake. So it's very complex. I mean, it just resonates, this TPP resonates almost through every aspect of our lives. Elena has indicated that the fast track is being drafted, that the legislation is being drafted by Baucus and Hatch in the Senate, and Camp and Levine in the House. So it may come up as early as this fall, and we have to be prepared for that. Although she thinks next year seems more likely. So with that in mind, if you'd like to take some steps to contact President Barack Obama if you're concerned about fracking and liquefied natural gas. The Sierra Club does have a petition. You can go to sierraclub.org/trade, and this petition is on. We'd like to get one going here locally to alert the community that would be great. And Alan Grayson, he has his particular brand here. It's this TradeTreachery.com, and he has a petition as well. Yes, and it's a good petition. So it's from listening to Jim's talk, it's interesting to know that I guess I've been part of the economic booms I was born in Flemish in the 50s, and my dad worked for GM. And it was just everyday life to have unions picket and strikes. I just never thought anything different about it. I just grew up around it. And then one of the reasons I'm here in Florida is because of the Space Center. Initially for the renovations in the high bay and the space shuttle, building the space shuttle program. So we're all part of it, and hope we can give enough input and feedback to our leaders. They need to know what we think about this. So, thank you for